Summers ago, I went to India alone. All by myself, I took a plane to go 9,000 miles away from my parents and 9,000 miles closer to the family I only see once every couple of years. Now, my maternal grandmother lives in Sangamner, which is a fun name, I know. I've been before, of course, but this time I didn't have my Captain America shield on me. My parents were in a different time zone. There was no way they could help connect me to the rest of my family. My backup shield was broken too. Earlier, I always had a little bit of an ego, just the tiniest hint of, I'm a little bit better than you because I'm American, which was, unfortunately, innate in middle school Sonia. This time, however, I was old enough to separate my nationality from my personality. Without my pride and my parents, I was just there, unprotected, and it was a little awkward. I was scolded for things as simple as eating with the wrong hand. They prayed twice a day and fasted really often, and I just didn't. There was nobody to bridge the gap between me and them, no shields to keep me safe. But then something changed. My little cousin started complaining about how her teacher punished her at school. Her teachers, parents, grandparents, everyone had already scolded her about it, so she turned to me for backup. I listened to her story, and something clicked. My cousin started talking to me about everything. School, friends, food, stealing candy from our grandma, sneaking out to buy ice cream, America, the rest of the planet, her dreams, her future. She had such an enormous perspective of the world that her teachers punished her for. She was mischievous and adorable and had a way to interact with the world that I'd never seen before. She was the type of person that danced naked in the rain, and I just let her talk at me for hours a day. Just by listening to her, I felt more at home in that house. I understood what it was like growing up in this town, 9,000 miles away from where I grew up, and even at 7 years old, she had stories to tell me and a perspective to give me. I just had to listen. She talked a lot, though. People talk a lot. We spend 70 to 80% of our awake time communicating in some way, whether that be reading, writing, texting, emailing, watching TV, or speaking. However, this communication is often with the same media and the same people. We have our group of friends, and that's that. Oftentimes, I sit down with someone new and have this moment of panic. It's like this obnoxious internal monologue. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. There's a person there. They're looking at me. Okay, say something. Ask them what their name is. No, wait, stupid. You already know their name. They aren't saying anything. Should I still say something? Why is it my responsibility to say something? Well, I waited too long. Can't say anything now. And I just sit there in silence. Instead of trying to bond with or learn more about this new person, I end up letting my own thoughts get the better of me. Once I realized this, I started paying more attention to conversations. Generic conversations. The dentist and his small talk, my parents, the people at the next table at the restaurant. Though this people watching and eavesdropping is a little problematic, I realized that those entire conversations are just stories. Someone talking about how their dog got sick or how their child threw a temper tantrum over jelly beans. Another person telling a story about how they felt when they finally succeeded at something. The more I listened, the more my passion for storytelling grew. Whether that be scrolling Reddit, watching movies, reading, or actually listening to somebody tell their stories. The more I listened, read, or watched, the more I learned about the world. That passion for storytelling is what inspired me to start the Legacy Project, which is a program where students interview senior citizens about their lives. We film the conversation and create a documentary of the senior citizen's life, complete with photos and mementos from their lifetime. The end goal is to have a gorgeous collection of interviews to share with the next generation and beyond. We've interviewed multiple senior citizens, each sharing more wisdom than the last. The good times, the bad times, the love, and the heartbreak have all been put on display in the Legacy Project. It's portraying the human experience in its simplest form. Stories. Many of the interviewees came from humble backgrounds, a foreign country, a language difference, and with nobody waiting for them on the other side of the ocean. But each and every single one of the seniors we interviewed has created something out of these circumstances. Dr. Wani invented a drug used to help hundreds of cancer patients in chemotherapy today. Ramesh Vora has lived in 4 different countries. Vijaya Bapat overcame racism and sexism to become an award-winning doctor. These documentaries can help weaken the barrier between generations and connect them with their family. We can learn from those who came before us and use their experiences as a guide as we make our own choices. More importantly, the singular voices won't be drowned out by the collective history that we're so familiar with. So often, we hear a single perspective or a simplified version of the story, instead of the true collection of memories that we should be hearing. The Legacy Project allows each voice to stand on its own. No voice is like another, and none should be generalized and just constrained into a box called history. We celebrate our differences, our histories, and our unique perspectives. And the only way we can do any of that is by listening. Now, why does this matter to us? Sure, it's cool to interview old people, but what about everyone else? I'm not saying you should make a documentary about everyone you meet, that's a little extra, but maybe you can tell your own stories, listen to other people's. When it comes to an awkward conversation, just tell a story about something interesting that you've done or experienced. Personally, when I take the opportunity to tell people the story about losing my passport in a foreign country or how I became friends with a mutual acquaintance, the awkwardness dissipates and we're left with a mutual curiosity about each other. Not only that, this communication, especially with people who are different from you, can help expand your worldview and give you a chance to empathize and sympathize with the struggles of someone who is much different. Even if you feel like you have no stories to tell, I guarantee that you do. Do a little soul searching. What makes you worth knowing? What do you have to offer the world? When did you have the most fun? So many of the best stories are never told, and it's my mission to try and make sure that they are. So maybe, just maybe, next time you're left without your star-spangled shield like I was, you'll have an open mind and stories to tell. Thank you.